My name is Cassandra. I'm 32, a combat medic in the Army. After 9 exhausting months overseas, all I could think about was wrapping my arms around my 14-year-old daughter, Emma. Every month, I'd been wiring $2,000 to my parents, who were looking after her. But the joy of finally seeing her turned into confusion when, in passing, I asked whether the money had been enough. Emma stared at me and said, "What money?" My parents went pale. My sister, Amanda, quickly changed the subject. My stomach dropped. If you're watching this, tell me in the comments where you're tuning in from. And hit like and subscribe if you want to know what happened when I realized $18,000 meant for my daughter had disappeared. I never imagined being a single mom with a military career. Yet life rewrites our plans when we least expect it. 5 years ago, my husband Daniel died in a car crash, leaving me with our 9-year-old. We'd been high school sweethearts, married young, and had Emma when I was 18. His death shattered our world, and still I had to build a future for Emma. The military had always been my contingency plan. My dad served. Our relationship was complicated, but I respected his service. After Daniel's death, the stability of military healthcare and education benefits began to look like a lifeline. I enlisted as a combat medic, blending service with my passion for healthcare. The pay was steady, and the structure gave us something we desperately needed after losing Daniel: predictability. For 3 years, I avoided being sent overseas. My commander understood and kept me stateside. Emma and I found a rhythm in a small apartment near base. She made friends, joined the soccer team, and slowly her smile crept back. Evenings, I helped with homework. On weekends, movie marathons or hikes. We were healing. Together. Then came the orders I'd feared. My medical unit would deploy to a conflict zone for 9 months. My stomach plunged when I read them. Emma, 13 now, was navigating adolescence, exactly when a mom matters most. My parents lived 2 hours from base, retired after my father sold a successful construction business. Their bond with Emma had always been warm yet distant. Holidays, occasional weekends. My mom adored her, but often lacked the stamina teens require. My dad was gentle with Emma in a way he'd never been with me. My younger sister Amanda lived near them with her husband. They'd been trying for kids. She'd always thought our parents favored me, despite little evidence. We were civil, not close. With few options, I asked my parents to care for Emma during deployment. They agreed at once, sounding genuinely pleased. We discussed every detail: her school routine, activities, foods she'd eat, friendships, and emotional support. The finances were crystal clear. I'd transfer $2,000 every month into their account for Emma only: food, clothes, school supplies, activities, transport, some fun, and a bit saved for her future. It was generous, nearly half my deployment pay, but Emma deserved it. My parents said it was too much. I insisted. I set the automatic transfers from my military bank. First deposit the day after she moved in, then on the 1st of each month. I showed them the confirmation. They acknowledged the plan. The week before I left was a blur: packing Emma's things, visiting her new school, setting up her room at my parents' house. I bought her a journal to write me letters when video calls weren't possible. We set a communication schedule around a 13-hour time difference and security rules. The night before departure, she climbed into my bed like after Daniel died. "Will you be safe, Mom?" she whispered. I couldn't promise safety, but I promised I'd be careful, think of her with every decision, and come home. 9 months will pass quickly, I said, though I didn't believe it, and I'd call whenever I could. Leaving her the next morning was the hardest thing I've ever done. She tried to be brave, then ran after the taxi sobbing. My father held her back. Through the rear window, tears streamed down my face. That image, the red, tear-streaked cheeks and outstretched arms, haunted me the entire deployment. The flight home felt endless. After 9 months in a dusty field hospital, American soil looked like paradise. I arranged to return 3 days before Christmas to surprise Emma, in case travel got delayed. Amanda picked me up. She seemed tense. I chalked it up to holiday stress. On the drive, she shared family updates and conspicuously dodged details about Emma, other than, "She's grown so much." Our reunion was exactly what I'd been dreaming of. Emma was icing Christmas cookies. She dropped the bag and launched at me so hard we almost fell. I held her tight and noticed she was taller, her face more defined. "You're really here," she kept saying, touching my face to make sure I was real. "I missed you so much, Mom." My parents hovered, their faces a mix of joy and something I couldn't read. My dad's hug was awkward. My mom fussed about my weight loss and how exhausted I looked. The house was lavishly decorated. Tall tree, elaborate ornaments I didn't recognize from past years. Dinner was a blur of stories. Emma sat so close it was hard to eat, barely touching her plate as she talked about school, friends, and books. I noticed her jeans were a little too short and the sweater had worn elbows, but figured they were favorites. Then Emma mentioned struggling with a science project because she couldn't afford materials. A small alarm bell rang. My mother quickly cut in that they'd worked it out. My father steered the conversation to my deployment, avoiding money. As Emma walked me to my room, I saw brand new furniture throughout the house, the kind Mom had long admired in magazines. In Dad's study, a new desktop setup that looked pricey. In the driveway, a late-model SUV Amanda called Dad's new toy. Emma seemed happy and healthy overall, but small things nagged at me. Her phone was the same model I'd left her with, now spider-cracked. When I asked why she hadn't replaced it, she shrugged. "It still works." She mentioned babysitting and helping at a cafe on weekends to earn spending money. Strange, considering the funds I sent. That night, after Emma fell asleep beside me, I checked my banking app. Every transfer had hit. 9 payments of $2,000 totaling $18,000 to my parents' account. The money was there. I considered confronting them, but waited. Maybe they were saving it for a college surprise. Maybe I was paranoid after months in a place where trust could be fatal. Morning came with toast and fruit that Emma had made. "Grandma says we need to shop today," she said. "We don't have much food." Mid-morning, Amanda arrived with gifts and a new diamond tennis bracelet she kept touching, an early Christmas gift. Emma admired it, and Amanda promised to take her shopping when we can afford it, casting a quick glance at my parents. More oddities. Emma had outgrown most clothes but had few new items. Her winter boots were patched with duct tape. Her backpack was splitting at the seams. None of this matched what I'd provided. By the second day home, I couldn't ignore it. While tidying her room, I said lightly, "I hope what I sent each month covered everything." Emma froze. "What money?" The words hit like a blow. I kept my tone even. "The $2,000 I sent monthly for your expenses." Her eyebrows shot up. "You sent money? Grandpa said you couldn't send anything because deployment was expensive. They said we had to be careful because they were paying for everything." At that moment, my parents appeared in the doorway, faces ashen, eyes down. My sister passed by with laundry and chirped, "Who wants hot chocolate? I'm using the peppermint marshmallows Emma loves." The blatant deflection confirmed my fear. I smiled at Emma. "That sounds great. We'll be down soon." After they left, I closed the door and sat beside Emma. "Tell me exactly what happened with money while I was gone." Her story broke my heart. From the start, my parents told her I couldn't send funds due to deployment complications. They provided basics but often complained about the cost of caring for her. Emma began weekend shifts at a cafe at 14, using that money for school supplies, fees, and the occasional clothing item. "I didn't want to ask you," she said through tears. "You were doing something important and Grandma said you were stressed about money. I sold my iPad for the science trip, and when the soccer team needed uniform fees, I just quit." I hugged her, mind racing. $18,000 would have more than covered everything. The new furniture, Dad's car, Amanda's bracelet, house upgrades, all clicked into place. "Did they give you an allowance?" I asked, already knowing. She shook her head. "I got $10 for my birthday. Grandma said times were tight." That evening, while Emma showered, I quietly checked the office. In a desk drawer, brochures for a Caribbean cruise in February. The confirmation showed a suite package, over $5,000. Another folder held receipts for jewelry, electronics, clothing, thousands more. On Emma's school portal, her grades had dipped sharply. Teachers noted tardiness, missing assignments, appears tired in class, and mention of weekend work starting at 5:30 a.m. The truth was undeniable. They'd funneled Emma's money into lifestyle upgrades while my daughter worked, sold her things, and went without. When Emma mentioned skipping a dentist appointment because the insurance was complicated, I nearly lost it. I'd provided full dependent coverage, no payment needed for routine care. That night, with the house quiet, I confronted Amanda in the kitchen. "Did you know they were taking Emma's money?" She fiddled with her bracelet. "I didn't know the whole story. They said you sent a little for emergencies. Childcare is expensive. They deserve something." "She's their granddaughter, not a stray," I said, keeping my voice low. "If they'd asked, I'd have paid for their time separately. That money was explicitly for Emma." She shrugged. "Talk to them. I'm sure they had reasons." Lying awake with Emma asleep beside me, I planned. The betrayal was deep, but a blow-up would only hurt Emma during a holiday. Christmas was 2 days away. Extended family would be there. I needed strategy, not rage. At a cafe the next morning, I downloaded 9 months of bank records, every transfer with dates and confirmations. Then I called the base legal assistance office. As active duty, I had access to counsel. I laid out the facts. The attorney said my parents' actions could be financial exploitation, given the funds were for a minor. He emailed guidance and offered local resources. Back at the house, my mother, flipping pancakes, said, "We're going to the mall later. Need anything?" "I'd like to take Emma for clothes," I said. "She's outgrown most of hers." Mom's smile faltered. "We got her some things. Kids grow fast." "I see that," I said lightly. "She'll need boots, too. The duct tape's creative, not warm." Mom busied herself. "Things have been tight. Your father's meds went up." New to me. "What meds? Is he okay?" "Just blood pressure." She waved. "Insurance only covers part." I knew his retirement plan covered prescriptions well. Another lie. Getting ready to leave, I overheard them arguing. "She knows something," my mother hissed. "Stick to the medical expense story." "What about the car?" my father muttered. "Say it was a deal I couldn't pass up. Use the retirement account excuse. And hide the cruise brochures." Amanda chimed in. "Just keep things normal through Christmas. She'll go back to base." At the mall, over food court lunch, Emma filled in more gaps. "I worked Saturdays and Sundays at Cafe Luna," she said. "Mrs. Garcia gave me extra shifts on breaks. That's how I bought presents." "Did Grandma and Grandpa know?" "They drove me sometimes. Usually I biked, about 2 miles each way." "In winter?" I layered up. She'd sold not only her iPad but the fantasy novels I'd gifted her, her headphones, and even the silver locket with a photo of her father and me. "Mr. Winters gave me $50 for the locket," she murmured, eyes down. I needed a graphing calculator. I stayed calm. "You did what you thought was right. I'm proud of your grit. But you shouldn't have had to work and sell precious things." I dropped Emma at her friend Lily's and spoke with Lily's mom, Kate. We'd been friendly before deployment. I trusted her. She confirmed concerns. Emma skipped weekend activities to work, wore the same outfits. At Lily's birthday, she arrived without a gift and was so embarrassed they pretended it was lost. "We offered to cover her sometimes," Kate said. She refused. Proud girl. She'd even bought Emma jeans and passed them off as a random gift. She agreed to provide a statement if needed. I met Emma's guidance counselor, Mrs. Reynolds, at school despite winter break. "Her performance dropped around March," she said. "From straight A's to mostly B's and C's. Math reported she fell asleep in class. We called your parents several times. They said she was adjusting to your absence and that working builds character." The school kept records of those conversations. By evening, I had substantial evidence. Photos of worn clothing, shoes, and backpack. Statements from Kate. school documentation, work verification, bank records. Emma shared her journal too. Entry after entry about being told, "We can't afford it," and feeling guilty for costing money. One line gutted me. "Called mom today but didn't tell her I needed money for the field trip. She looked tired on the video. Grandma said mom is struggling to pay for food on deployment. I'll tell my teacher I'm sick." That night, Emma and I wrapped her handmade gifts. Cookies for relatives, a mug for my father, a scarf for my mother, a photo frame for me. Meanwhile, I'd spotted luxury store bags in my parents' closet while hunting wrapping paper. The contrast couldn't have been starker. Christmas Eve dawned bright and cold. I barely slept, rehearsing my approach. Emma sensed something but assumed it was post-deployment adjustment. In truth, I was executing a plan. First step: protect finances. I froze the automatic transfers and opened a joint checking account for Emma and me, moving savings to cover immediate needs. The banker, also a veteran, expedited everything. Next, I called Lieutenant Colonel Richards, my former CO turned family law attorney. "Document everything," she said. "Texts, emails, statements, photos. Wisconsin has statutes on financial exploitation of dependents that may apply. Are you confronting them tonight?" "Extended family will be present," I said. "Witnesses make denial harder." "Keep Emma's well-being front and center," she advised. Then I called Staff Sergeant Martinez, now with JAG. He confirmed resources and connected me with a victim advocate. "Parents are complicated," he said. "A neutral third party can help." By mid-morning, I'd secured legal guidance, financial safety, and support. The hardest part remained: a private talk with Emma about what would happen. At a quiet, icy park, I told her, "I sent $2,000 a month for your needs: clothes, school, and some fun to ease my absence. That money never reached you." She tensed. "They said you couldn't send anything, that I was straining their retirement." "That wasn't true," I said gently. "I sent more than enough." She processed it. "The new car, the jewelry, the kitchen reno." I nodded. Her face flushed. Anger, then shame. "I worked every weekend while they spent my money. I sold Dad's locket." Tears flowed. I thought I was helping. I held her. "You were responsible and brave. I'm proud. But you shouldn't have had to surrender sleep, keepsakes, and childhood." I explained. "Tonight, with everyone here, I'll address it. You can stay or go to Lily's." She straightened. "I want to be there. After tonight, we can stay for the holiday, get a hotel, or return to base early. Your call." "What about the money?" "I'll handle recovery. Your job is to heal." She asked. "Will they go to jail?" "That's not my goal," I said. "Accountability and restoration are. If they refuse, legal consequences may follow. That's their choice." Back at the house, appetizers were underway. Nervous glances everywhere. I stayed calm and prepared. In the office, I printed 3 identical folders: bank transfers, photos of Emma's clothes and supplies, cafe work records, school reports and statements from the counselor and Kate, plus a summary and proposed resolution. One for me, one for my parents, one for Aunt Susan, my father's sister and the family's moral anchor. By 7 p.m., relatives filled the house: Aunt Susan and Elaine, Uncle Robert, cousins and their families. Emma stayed close as everyone marveled at how she'd grown. Amanda's smile was fixed, her eyes alert. My parents played perfect hosts. Aunt Susan pulled me aside. "You look tired. Deployment was rough?" "It was," I said. "But what I came home to is just as hard." "Is Emma okay?" "We'll talk at dinner," I replied. "I'd value your attention." She nodded. "Always." Dinner was buffet style. I sat with Emma across from my parents, Aunt Susan to my right. Conversation flowed: jobs, surgeries, kids' achievements. I waited for the lull. When it came, I tapped my glass. "Thank you all for being here," I began. "Being home for Christmas after 9 months is a gift. Having Emma in my arms is everything I dreamed of. Murmurs of warmth. While I was gone, I arranged for Emma to be cared for and sent $2,000 each month for her needs. My parents' smiles froze. That's $18,000 in 9 months. My mother's hand shook. My father stared at his plate. Yesterday, I learned Emma never saw a cent. She was told I couldn't send money and that she was a burden. Silence fell. Emma looked at her lap, uncomfortable but steady. While Emma worked weekends and sold her possessions to fund school activities, I continued, those funds were used for home renovations, a new vehicle, luxury items, and a vacation. Amanda jumped in, voice too bright. Raising a teen is expensive. Maybe discuss this privately. There's no misunderstanding, I said, sliding the folders across. These are bank records, work logs, school statements, and community testimony. I placed one in front of my parents and handed one to Aunt Susan, whose expression hardened. Emma maintained a 3.2 GPA while working weekends, received no allowance, missed medical appointments, and was denied school activities for financial reasons, while $18,000 meant for her needs furnished this house. My father bristled. Do you know what it costs to feed a child? Utilities? Transport? I do, I said. I've raised her alone for 5 years. $2,000 a month more than covered reasonable expenses. My mother tried indignation. We didn't agree to account for every penny. We provided a home and love. Love doesn't send a 14-year-old to a 5:30 a.m. shift while her guardians sleep, I replied. Love doesn't make a child sell her father's locket for a calculator. Gasps around the table. Uncle Robert tried to mediate. Surely there were misunderstandings. Emma's small voice cut through. There wasn't. Grandma told me Mom couldn't send money. When I needed $65 for a museum trip, she said they couldn't spare it. I sold my iPad. I worked so I wouldn't be a burden. Aunt Susan, skimming the folder, looked up, voice cold. A Caribbean cruise, Thomas, while your granddaughter wore duct-taped boots and made lattes. My father looked ashamed. My mother tried one more angle. We planned to pay it back. Unexpected expenses. Which expenses justify taking from a child? I asked. The kitchen, jewelry, patio furniture? No answer. I moved to the solution. I'm not here to humiliate anyone. I'm here for accountability and to make this right for Emma. My terms: full accounting and repayment, a direct apology to Emma acknowledging specific harm, and a written agreement governing any future finances or guardianship. Or what? My father asked. Or I filed charges for financial exploitation of a dependent minor, I said calmly. Military counsel has outlined criminal and civil consequences. Amanda finally spoke. You'd sue your parents after they took Emma in when you chose to deploy. I didn't choose deployment, Amanda. I followed orders and trusted my family to honor commitments to my child. And yes, I'd use legal remedies as I would for any neglect or exploitation. I glanced at her bracelet. Your new jewelry and your presence in those keep the story straight conversations don't help your case. The room was stunned. Aunt Susan moved to Emma's side. What now? My mother whispered. Now, nothing more tonight. It's Christmas Eve. Emma and I will celebrate with the family. But on December 26th, we begin a structured resolution. Whether privately or through legal channels is your choice. Right then, the doorbell rang. My father returned with a certified envelope, addressed to me from the base legal office. Templates for restitution and accountability, arriving with cinematic timing. Thank you, I said. These will help us move forward. The rest of the evening ebbed between forced chatter and heavy silence. Some relatives offered Emma quiet support. Others tried to broker peace. A few simply watched the implosion. Emma held herself with grace, accepting comfort without pity. I'd never been prouder. As guests left, Aunt Susan squeezed my hand. I'll help ensure they make this right. What they did is unconscionable. Thank you, I said. My goal is resolution, not destruction. Emma still loves them. You're a better person than I'd be, she said. Not better, I answered. Just focused on what matters. Emma's healing is more important than my anger. That night, Emma asked, "Will we ever be a normal family again?" I chose my words. We'll be a different family, built on truth and accountability, not comfortable lies. Whether your grandparents are part of that depends on their choices. On December 26th at exactly 10 a.m., the knock came. My parents had kept their distance on Christmas Day. Amanda and her husband arrived moments before. Emma sat beside me, posture steady. Aunt Susan insisted on being present as a neutral witness, literally positioning herself between us. At the door stood Mr. Harrington, the base legal assistance attorney who'd agreed to facilitate. "Thank you for agreeing to this mediation," he began. "My role is to structure a conversation about the financial discrepancies during Cassandra's deployment and build a framework for resolution." The phrase, financial discrepancies, instead of theft, set a problem-solving tone just as we'd planned. Over 3 hours, accountability took shape. Faced with documentation and Mr. Harrington's steady guidance, my parents' defenses eroded. My father, more direct than my mother, spoke first. "We did divert the funds," he admitted. "It started small, fixing the dishwasher with part of the first payment. Then we justified more. House improvements, for Emma. By the 3rd month, we treated it like general income." My mother, tearful, added, "We told ourselves childcare deserved compensation, but telling Emma you sent nothing was cruel. We mapped every diverted dollar. Including the fully paid cruise, the total surpassed the $18,000 I'd sent. They'd even spent money they hadn't yet received, banking on future transfers." A resolution emerged with surprising cooperation. Immediate cancellation and refund of the cruise. Sell my father's new car and revert to the old one. Return or sell my mother's recent jewelry. And $1,000 monthly payments until the balance was repaid. Mr. Harrington formalized it with a legally binding agreement and clear consequences for non-compliance. Most important, he suggested a private apology to Emma. We stepped out while they spoke. 20 minutes later, Emma's eyes were red but peaceful. Something in that room had begun to mend. "We have a workable resolution," Mr. Harrington said, gathering signatures. "This ensures accountability while preserving relationships, your stated priority." My father then asked what had weighed on him. "Could she have pursued criminal charges?" Mr. Harrington nodded. "Financial exploitation of a dependent is taken very seriously, especially when guardians misappropriate designated funds causing hardship." The gravity settled over them. "Thank you for not choosing that," my mother whispered. "This was never about punishment," I said quietly. "It was about making things right for Emma." In the weeks that followed, a new reality formed. Emma and I stayed through New Year's, but in a hotel. The distance helped everyone process while preserving the connection Emma still wanted. Restitution began immediately. They sold the new car, returned unused purchases, and my father took consulting work to fund payments. We replaced Emma's phone and worn clothing. I tracked down and bought back her father's locket from the pawn shop, paying more than it was worth to honor what it meant. We replaced the iPad and the books she'd sold. The deeper healing needed a professional. Back at base in January, Emma began therapy for trust and family dynamics. She resisted at first, then slowly embraced understanding her feelings of betrayal and abandonment. In February, Amanda called to apologize. "I should have questioned things," she said. "I saw signs and looked away." "Did you benefit?" I asked. Her pause answered before she did. "The bracelet was a gift from Mom. I didn't know where the money came from, but I should have asked." We stayed civil, cautiously hopeful that honesty could rebuild something. By April, Emma's grades matched her old excellence. Free from weekend shifts and money stress, she rejoined soccer and formed new friendships. Youthful resilience plus proper support worked faster than I dared hope. My parents paid like clockwork. Nearly $12,000 returned within 6 months, and honored boundaries, never pushing for more access than Emma wanted. When my assignment ended in June, I transferred to a unit without deployment rotations. It meant turning down a promotion, but Emma's stability mattered more. We moved into a small house near the new base and finally built a home that was ours. Her therapist recommended carefully structured visits with my parents. The first, a day in a neutral spot, was awkward yet useful. My father, better with actions than words, crafted a wooden jewelry box for the recovered locket. My mother assembled a scrapbook of Emma's childhood photos, an acknowledgement that the past matters. By summer's end, a new normal held. Weekends with friends, not work. High school started with confidence and clear boundaries. My parents continued amends through steady payments and respectful interactions. My sister and I communicated sparingly but more honestly. The betrayal became a chapter in our story, not the whole book. Lessons in accountability, forgiveness, and conditional trust changed all of us. Last week, Emma asked whether her grandparents could come for Thanksgiving. Not to stay, she clarified, but dinner together. Her measured forgiveness humbled me. If you're ready, I'm ready, I said. Family is complicated, but it's still family. As I reflect, from that stunned, "What money?" to today's cautious rebuilding, I'm reminded that trust, once broken, never returns exactly the same. But something new and sometimes stronger can grow in its place, rooted in accountability, boundaries, and earned trust. If you've faced family betrayal or financial exploitation, recovery is possible. Boundaries aren't selfish, they're essential for healing. Accountability isn't vengeance, it's the foundation of any healthy relationship. Protecting those we love can require hard choices others won't understand. Have you had to rebuild trust with family? What boundaries did you set? Share your experience in the comments. And if this story resonated, please subscribe for more journeys of resilience and recovery. Thank you for listening, and remember, even the deepest wounds can heal with time and the right care.